Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
Yes, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
Accident black spot. The villagers who claim lives are being put at risk because of a failure to slow traffic on a narrow country lane, even during our interview.
And this is the general speed, and we're 20 miles an hour. They come on here at a speed of knots. It's like the M62.
Groundbreaking hospitals. Huddersfield and Halifax use pioneering artificial intelligence software to help detect potentially fatal lung conditions.
This has been a great project for our teams and our staff to be involved with. It's an innovative idea and they're able to be there at the inception and help to develop it.
The Football League is back and newly promoted Sheffield Wednesday kick off the new Championship season tonight. I'll have all the build-up from Hillsborough.
And booked out. The novel returns to a library 54 years late, but did the borrower get fined?
So hello from Sally and from me. First tonight, to fears that lives could be at risk if traffic isn't slowed down or heavily restricted down a narrow country lane that's become an accident black spot.
Trees, walls and houses have been damaged by vehicles travelling down Jumples Crag near Halifax in recent months, and residents say it's only a matter of time before someone is killed. The council says it's been working with residents to make the road safer. Well, Jonathan Brown is there for us. How's it looking this evening?
Well, Sally, it has been busier here. In fact, we've just had some cars drive through just now. But the real concern here is about the size of some of the vehicles that are trying to squeeze through this narrow gap and the speed at which some of them are trying to do so. Now, 20-mile-per-hour zones like this one are commonplace across the wider Calderdale districts. Many of them, like this, were installed from about 2014 onwards. But despite all the road signs and the many incidents here, we've been hearing how those warnings simply aren't being heeded.
It's a quaint country lane that some believe is getting overrun. People living here say traffic calming measures elsewhere have made Jumples Crag near Halifax a shortcut that huge vehicles are trying to squeeze down and others are speeding through.
There's going to be a death on this road. There's no two ways about it. It's just a massive accident waiting to happen.
Linda moved here close to where she grew up so she could downsize 5 years ago. But she says it's brought with it constant stress, which even while we spoke, came across loud and clear.
And this is the general speed, and we're 20 miles an hour. And the council know this because they've acknowledged it. We've got it in writing that they've acknowledged it.
How does that make you feel, seeing that?
Sickening. It's sickening, isn't it?
Despite signs deeming it unsuitable for HGVs and room for only one car width in some places, as many as 3,500 vehicles keep coming through this narrow gap beside these former weavers' cottages every day.
My home was hit by a heavy goods. My home was hit by 2 cars. There's problems every single day. What needs doing is making us safe. A chicane would make us safe, 2 chicanes would make us safe, a hump would make us safe. They haven't done anything.
That's prompted Claire, who's lived here for half a century, to install CCTV cameras to record the many close shaves and collisions, including this lorry's encounter with a tree last month.
And you can see the damage that's caused. This tree is now going to have to be felled. On top of that, 2 cars hit the wall over there within just a couple of hours of each other last month. And there are signs all along here, like this shattered piece of number plate, for example, that make residents here worry that it's just a matter of time before something more serious happens.
In a statement, Calderdale Council said we are introducing a maximum 3.5 tonne except for access restriction to stop larger vehicles passing through Jumples Crag. We are now designing the signs that are needed to implement the traffic order. Once the designs are complete, the signs will be made and installed.
I don't know what more we can do.
For Claire and Linda, the evidence of danger is overwhelming and the proposed solution inadequate. More than 5 years after they first voiced concerns, they say now is the time for council action that will bring their long campaign's journey to a safe conclusion. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Mixenden.
And of course, we'll let you know what happens with that story. Now, an update on our main story from last night. And the Environment Secretary has ordered her government department to end all engagement with Greenpeace following the campaign group's protest at Rishi Sunak's home. 4 activists protesting against oil and gas drilling in the North Sea were arrested yesterday on suspicion of criminal damage and public nuisance at the Prime Minister's house in his Richmond constituency. A 5th person was arrested for just a public nuisance. They've now been released on bail. Therese Coffey told the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs to cancel all planned meetings with the group until further notice.
Well, next, to a groundbreaking healthcare service which could help cut waiting times for diagnostic testing and save lives right here in our region.
Huddersfield Royal Infirmary and Calderdale Royal Hospital in Halifax are pioneering new artificial intelligence software to help with reviewing chest x-rays. It's a faster way of detecting conditions such as lung cancer, which claims the lives of around 3,000 people in Yorkshire every year. And that means patients may be treated more quickly. Here's Emma Haywood.
Every year, 65,000 chest x-rays are carried out at the hospitals in Huddersfield and Halifax. And it's a big part of the radiology team's work.
You take the biggest breath you can and then just hold it until I call again.
20 years ago, they'd be using a light box to review the results. Here, they're now using AI software, which can cut down the diagnosis time on some scans from days to seconds.
What new technology brings in is a faster diagnosis, ability to triage a large number of investigations so that prioritization of work can be done. Patients are not waiting longer for their diagnosis.
This leaflet is coming through your letterbox one day soon.
Few in those early days of the NHS could have predicted just how technology would transform healthcare and ultimately people's lives. The introduction of AI software here should mean some patients wait less time to hear about their results.
The sooner I know that there's no problem, the happier I would be. And I'm sure that applies for all patients. That it's the possible worrying about something that may be there, would ease the pressure on them if they find out quickly.
I think it's going to be wonderful to be able to get results back so quickly and read.
The Trust is one of just 2 in England using AI like this for chest x-ray reviews.
The last 2 or 3 years have been so difficult. This has been a great project for our teams and our staff to be involved with. It's an innovative idea and they're able to be there at the inception and help to develop it.
AI is going to change the way healthcare is delivered in the next 7-10 years. It's just an improved digital technology to help us make faster diagnosis, help patients to get their treatment pathways sorted quicker.
The work being done here in Yorkshire is groundbreaking, but more than that, could help save lives. Emma Haywood, ITV News in Huddersfield.
Certainly got to be a good thing, hasn't it? Now then, you're watching Friday night's calendar, and still to come, we're at Hillsborough as newly promoted Sheffield Wednesday prepare to kick off the championship campaign against newly relegated Southampton.
And today's showers are moving east. That's good news for that match in Hillsborough for this evening. But unfortunately, the rain returns again as we head through tomorrow. Full forecast a little later on.
More of the day's news, and our region's A road network is something millions of us rely on every day, linking our major towns and cities. This summer marks exactly a century since they came into being.
Well, many of these routes have ancient foundations, some dating back to Roman times. But 100 years ago, a modern naming system was developed to help motorists navigate their way from A to B. Nick Smith has been taking a trip down memory lane.
The motor car. And perhaps no other invention has so effectively affected the way our lives are run.
The early 20th century saw the birth of the motoring age. But just as cars started to revolutionise our world, our road network had to adapt to match their capabilities. Before our expansive motorway network was built, A roads were our vital link between our major towns and cities. But their predecessors were often given ad hoc names, and if you weren't local, you might struggle to find your way around. That was until in 1923, a standardised system of numbers and letterings came into the naming convention, and our A and B roads were born. A zoning system was devised under the Great Trunk Roads Act, based on routes leading from certain regions to London. So most A roads in the Calendar region start with the number 1 or the number 6, including the A63, connecting East and West Yorkshire, and of course, the A1.
To us in Yorkshire North East, it's a really important part of our network. So it was the first one that was numbered because it is the most important route coming out of London, going all the way up to Scotland, up to Edinburgh. And then that was how it was done with the radial pattern out of London. So it's really, really critical infrastructure and critical road to all things northern.
The 100-year celebration is a huge milestone for us. The number of A roads has grown significantly, and it's all about being able to connect the country from north to south to east to west. Whether you're somebody that's going to the seaside for the weekend, or whether you're an organisation that's responsible for moving freight across our network.
Meanwhile, the iconic design of our road signage is celebrating a 60-year milestone. Until the early 1960s, place names or driver warnings were presented in block capitals, often difficult to read when driving at speed. But the War Boys report in 1963 backed a pictogram system of symbols and using lowercase lettering for place names. Margaret Calvert was one of the lead designers and tells me at the time it was a huge undertaking.
Probably the largest graphic design job ever undertaken, because it was a complete system. I know I spent a lot of time working on them, especially the deer and the cow and the horse, the roadwork sign, which people tend to think it's a man having difficulty with a large umbrella. I don't mind that. I get teased about it quite a lot, but it doesn't worry me.
So next time you're trundling down your local A road and passing those signs to direct you on your trip, remember, they've had quite a journey of their own too. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Absolutely fascinating.
It's things you don't really think about until you actually sit down and hear how it all came about, that you think, oh, that doesn't actually make some sense.
I know, and how clever are those signs? You know, when you see the roadworks or the children for a school.
You know exactly what they mean, don't you,
your brain knows straight away.
Very
really
interesting
clever.
piece, that.
Now, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Lucrezia Millerini.
The Environment Secretary cuts ties with Greenpeace over a stunt at the PM's property. Activists scaled the roof of his constituency home this week. Now all planned communications with the group have been cancelled. Also, more than 4,000 British Scouts pull out an event in South Korea after hundreds fall ill in a heatwave. And could this be the last Commonwealth Games after another host city drops its bid? Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thanks, Lucrezia. Now, over the last couple of nights, we've been looking ahead to the new football season with features on Leagues 1 and 2.
Well, the wait for the season to kick off is just a few hours away as Sheffield Wednesday get the 2023-24 Football League campaign underway in the Championship.
Arif Ahmed is live for us this evening. Arif, what's the mood like ahead of kick-off?
Yes, welcome to Hillsborough, Sally. It just feels like yesterday that Sheffield Wednesday was celebrating that dramatic playoff win at the end of last season. 9 weeks later, we're about to start this new season all over again, and there should be a real feel-good factor around Hillsborough today. But as they welcome newly relegated Southampton for the first game of the League Championship season, but the departure of popular manager Darren Moore has put a real dampener on things. He was replaced by Cisco Munoz, and things aren't quite as happy as they should be around Hillsborough. And as Chris Docks reports, things really run smoothly here.
It was meant to be the beginning of a glorious summer, but as those fans who were celebrating at Wembley in May will tell you, things rarely run smooth at Sheffield Wednesday.
And breaking news tonight in sport, Sheffield Wednesday has announced that manager Darren Moore has left the club by mutual consent.
Less than 3 weeks after beating Barnsley to win promotion back to the Championship, Wednesday were on the lookout for a new manager. The former Watford boss Xisco Núñez was the somewhat surprise choice from owner Dejphon Chansiri, and now ahead of his first game in charge, Xisco's calling for unity between the fans and the club.
I know with also the players and also the staff need to give these things for the fans, but I need this connection because we know exactly how is the difficult the championship, but if we are together, sure we are more stronger.
Stevie and Molly are season ticket holders at Hillsborough. He knows all about the ups and downs. She's learning life as an owl isn't always a hoot.
I think we'll do better than people think. Bottom line, head ruling heart. I'd take 21st. I'd bite people's hands off for 21st tomorrow. It's got to be a season of consolidation, and if we can do that, fine. Anything above that is absolutely fantastic for me.
What about you, Molly?
I don't really know what to expect. I don't think we're going to do very well because there's a lot of new teams and very good teams that have just come from the Premier League down. So it's a bit scary, but I think we could probably do it, but I'm not feeling that confident.
Barry Bannon's entering his 9th season as a Wednesday player. He led the team to victory in last May's League One playoff final, but knows the step up to the Championship won't be an easy one.
A lot of big teams in there, so it's going to be very competitive. But like I said, after the playoff final, we want to compete in this league. We're a massive club ourselves, so we're going to give it all and see where we can end up.
Hillsborough played host to one of the greatest games of the modern era last May when Wednesday came back from 4-0 down to beat Peterborough. Tonight's game against Southampton will be another uphill task, but whatever the result, one thing you can always guarantee at this place is drama. Chris Dawkes, ITV News, Sheffield.
Well, that's Sheffield Wednesday, but what about the rest of our Championship teams, Arif?
Well, Ian, just down the road from here are Rotherham United, and they're favourites for the relegation drop. But last year they avoided the drop, and they'll be hoping to upset the odds again this year. And just down the road from here at Huddersfield Town, manager Neil Warnock is preparing for his 44th year in management. Absolutely incredible, and the 74-year-old will be hoping for a stress-free season. And Leeds United's new manager Daniel Farke will be hoping to lead the club back to the Premier League after they were relegated down to the Championship.
It's a hell of a task. So especially after relegation, it's a hell of a task. The Premier League is the best league in the world, but the Championship is the toughest. That's also for sure. And it's never easy to be successful on this level. It's difficult to predict at the moment how quick we can be, because it's a quick turnaround. But be sure we will work each and every day to be as successful as possible.
Well, Leeds United fans will also be interested in one of the biggest collections of memorabilia that will be going under the hammer this weekend. Lifelong fan Edward Spink died in January, and he amassed a collection built up over 50 years and is going on sale at Diggleby Stevenson in York on Sunday. And items include matchday programmes dating back to the 1920s.
It's a little piece of Yorkshire. He's a very, very much a Yorkshireman, was Eddie, and obviously you can see how proud he was of following both his teams. That was obviously Leeds United and Yorkshire County Cricket Club, and it's just a testimony, the whole collection, of what an interest he had in local sport. As I said, he's Mr Yorkshire as far as I was concerned.
Well, there's an exciting 10 months of football action ahead. Tonight's game kicks off at 8 p.m. and we'll have all the thrills and spills from the opening weekend on Monday night's calendar.
Well, thanks very much indeed, Arif. We'll see you on Monday. Now then, Kerry's with us for the weather in just a second, and I think she's going to tell us it's probably a good weekend to stay in, curl up with a book. Have you got a favourite book, Sally?
Funny you should ask that, Ian, because I have. I've got it here. My favourite is On the Black Hill by Bruce Chatwin, and this was a book I read as an A-level text, and I loved it so much I actually kept it and didn't hand it back in.
What?
It did belong to school, but it's mine now. How about you?
And you've scribbled in it as well.
Oh, yeah, lots of notes in that one.
Well, you know I'm a geek, don't you?
You are.
A TV geek.
Go on.
This one is all about television. It's all about TVAM and the launch of Breakfast TV in 1983. And look, there's David Frost and Anna Ford on this side, and Michael Parkinson.
That really
and
is your
various
favourite
others.
book,
And that's one of my favourites.
Absolutely. Well, we're asking about this because a book loaned from Scunthorpe Library in 1969 has just been returned. Let's see if you can recognise it from this music.
Yes, it was a first edition copy of 2001: A Space Odyssey brought back to Scunthorpe 54 years too late. The fine should have been £4,500. Fortunately, library penalties were recently abolished.
That's a good job, isn't it? Borrowed only 3 months after the first moon landing. Fun fact.
Yeah, and from moon to space. Oh. Yeah, views from space have come on since that library visit in the 60s. In fact, our first weather or dedicated weather satellite was in the 60s. This is the first image from Europe's latest weather satellite, taken just this week. A fantastic detail of Europe and Africa and the Atlantic. But the view from here, Sal, Ian, it's not looking that pretty this weekend.
Go on, tell us.
We've actually got a named storm for the UK. We've not had one all season, which started last September. We've got Storm Anthony, and that's now the 5th of the summer storms that have been named since 2015 when it first started. And so Anthony tomorrow will be the 50th named storm, but it's really to the southwest that the strongest of winds are expected as it sweeps its way southwards during the course of the UK. But you can see these two weather fronts, and they will affect us tomorrow during the course of the day and all the way through into the evening. So we are expecting some rain, possibly 10 to 20 millimetres of rainfall quite widely, 20 to 40 millimetres locally, and maybe gusts, certainly for the North York Moors, perhaps over the Pennines, 30 to 35 miles an hour. So it's not a great day for doing anything outside.
You did promise us it's getting better next week.
I did okay. It's Friday. Good news. High pressure is likely to build possibly just for a few days later next week. So we are looking at temperatures hopefully rising and things settling down. So quieter and warmer. And of course, all the detail a little later on.
That's
in the
more like it,
forecast.
Kerry. Thanks very much. We'll see you later.
Of course.
Well, finally tonight, cast your mind back to being at school. Well, we've already done that, haven't we? We might have had all different experiences, but one thing we might have all had in common is playing the recorder.
It was first invented back in the 15th century and has been taught in schools for decades, with it being one of the first instruments many children play.
I know I did, certainly. Well, there are now new figures to suggest that the recorder could be on the decline as fewer people are playing it. We went to one school near Ripon just before they broke up for the summer. Here's Kate Ridley.
It's a sound which divides opinion. But love it or loathe it, the sound of the recorder has been a constant in the classroom for decades. Children here at this primary school in Ripon have been practicing for months. It's something most of them look forward to.
I can just make my own song with a recorder.
I feel like happy and calm, and it's just nice and relaxing.
I enjoy most about it. It's a starter for big instruments like guitar and piano, and it's easy to learn the notes.
And it's not just enjoyable, it's a great way to get children into music too.
It's affordable enough that we can have whole class sets for all the children to learn. They can get quite quick results learning to play simple tunes together, and it sounds beautiful.
But new figures suggest the recorder could be on the decline. According to the Cheetham School of Music, there's been an 80% drop in the number of young people taking up the recorder in the last 10 years.
The way music is taught in schools has changed a lot since the introduction of whole class learning, where every child in the Key Stage 2 class is given an instrument and that's what they play for a term. Now that's brilliant. That's an amazing opportunity for every child to play an instrument, but you're taking away an element of choice. And you can see why some instruments have really struggled.
Less time listening to recorder practice at home might be music to the ears of some parents. But professionals who promote the instrument have real concerns.
If I wasn't given a plastic Descant recorder when I was 6 years old, I wouldn't have had the opportunities, I wouldn't have the career I have today, and I certainly would have had the social benefits, the academic benefits, but also the mental health benefits. So music can tap into all of those aspects. So I don't think it will become extinct, but I think it's an enormous problem we have.
Anna is the first recorder soloist to perform with the symphony orchestra that she's a member of. She's passionate about promoting why she loves the instrument.
It's incredibly
easy and simple instrument to pick up. I'd say contact your local music service, maybe your school, they might have a music department. And just start. It's definitely one of the best things I ever did.
The recorder has introduced generations of children to playing an instrument, and people like Anna hope it will carry on inspiring others to develop a lifelong love of music. Katie Ridley, ITV News.
Well, those children certainly enjoyed playing it, don't they? I'm not sure the parents enjoyed the practising quite so much. It's an acquired taste, isn't it, the recorder? But
Do you know what, Sally? I didn't realise they came in so many different shapes and sizes and different colours, but
well,
now we know.
You learn something new every day. It's an education, this programme. Here's Kerry now to tell us about the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Sunshine and showers for Sunday, but pretty unsettled between now and then. Evidence of a little bit of sunshine earlier on this afternoon. A rainbow over Wharfdale. A big thank you to Mike Booth. But yes, some muddy footpaths and muddy fields in store as we head through into Saturday. Cloudy, wet and windy and feeling quite chilly. And we've already had those showers today. They are migrating eastwards as we head through into this evening. So already some clearer spells starting to develop from the west ahead of the rain that's going to work its way in later on tonight. So the showers continue to journey eastwards, drier, clearer for a short time before heavy rain starts to develop over the peaks and the Pennines by the time we reach dawn. Nothing too chilly, and for now nothing too windy overnight tonight. There is sometimes for tomorrow, 5:27 and 8:57. So tomorrow, cloudy skies, outbreaks of rain, sometimes heavy, high rainfall totals in places by the end of the day, and the winds starting to whip up and coming in across the coastline as we head through to the evening period and the overnight period. So it's as these showers in the far north sink southwards, the winds will be at their strongest. Could be gusts of 30-35 miles an hour and quite a lot of rainfall, especially over the North York Moors and over the Pennines. But as we head through into tomorrow night and into Sunday, it does get a little bit better. It will be breezy for Sunday morning, but a good dose of sunshine. Into the afternoon, more of a mixture of sunny spells and showery outbreaks. Temperatures recovering a little bit compared to tomorrow. And then as we head through into the new week, Monday, fewer showers, more sunshine. Cloudy on Tuesday, maybe some rain, and then starting to settle down and warm up a little for the second half of the week.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go, that's your forecast.
I'm surprised there's any rain left in that sky,
I
Kerry.
know, it's bad, isn't it? Yeah, but hopefully a little bit quieter at least next week.
There does seem to be some brightness in the offing, doesn't there?
Yeah, well, despite the weather, we hope you have a lovely weekend and you'll join us again next week. For now, though, good night.
Bye-bye.
Night.